My name is Shivansh Thakur, and I'm your host and moderator for today's session. And we've got an incredible session planned out for you guys, especially for the people who are beginners and intermediates. So, this particular session is about teaching you guys something new to help you clear out any doubts that you have. We will be picking them up as we go. So, great, Chinedu, your question, sorry, no, Puneet Kumar, your question is there any prerequisite, prior knowledge needed? Don't worry, this is again one of the very frequently asked questions. I don't want to answer this. I want the expert trainer to answer this question for you, because again, he has been training multiple people just like you, people who come from the non-IT domain, people who do not have any experience whatsoever in the industry of Azure data engineering. So don't worry about that. I want your answers to be answered by the best possible person, and today we've got him on this session with us. We've got our expert trainer Aman with us here today. Again, multiple years of experience in the IT domain, especially with the Azure data engineering. He's also a Microsoft certified trainer as well, so you can be assured about the quality of the training he provides and the knowledge that he has. Okay, Chenaru, I'm from Nigeria. I'm a tech support engineer, beginner. And okay, welcome, Chenaru. We've again, I think a lot of people that we train at K21 Academy again are from these few 4 or 5 places around the world. That's US, UK, Nigeria, and again, then India as well. So again, great to have you. Welcome again, buddy. I'm a system admin, but right now I'm not doing anything. Okay, so are you planning to explore? Are you here to explore data engineering, or you're fully made up your mind that okay, this is the field that I want to build my career in now? Alrich. Okay, Sridhar Reddy. I'm from Andhra Pradesh. I'm working as ETL developer and into cloud services. Great. Sridhar, again, going to be really incredible and beneficial for you if you're somebody who is beginner, and it'll really help you out in terms of just creating that environment, that creating that learning space for you where all your doubts are answered, where everything is cleared out in such a way that you would have a much clearer picture as to what you should be covering now. So again, I see we are live on our social media platforms as well. So welcome everybody from our all our different social media handles, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. Just make sure that if you want the recording to this particular session, that you register yourself for this session as well. My team would put the registration link in the chat window very soon. So again, you can register yourself if you want the recording to this particular session. But in the meantime, we've got around 2 minutes or so. So I want you guys to ask whatever questions that you have about data engineering, about Azure Databricks. If you already have any questions, put them down in the chat window. I've got an incredible team here with me today, and we are here to answer your questions. We are here to teach you something brand new that's going to really transform your life, really transform your career if you are planning to start in the data engineering domain. So make sure you ask me the questions throughout the session. Okay, welcome, Cecilia. That's great. Again, I see a lot of you guys are beginners here, so that's really going to help. This session is really going to help in that space. So amazing, amazing to see that. Again, people who are joining in just now, let me introduce myself. My name is Shivansh Thakur. I'll be your host and moderator for today's session. And it's going to be really beneficial for you if you're asking questions. So make sure you're asking your questions. And till the time, we've got around 1 minute, 40 seconds or so. So in the meantime, I want you all to introduce yourself. I see a lot of people are joining in, whether it's GoToWebinar, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. So make sure you're introducing yourself by answering these 3 questions for me. Number one, where are you currently located in the world? Number two, what are you currently doing in your particular career? And number three, what is your knowledge level in terms of data engineering and Azure Databricks? Are you a beginner, are you an intermediate, or are you an expert? So make sure that you put down that as well. And one more thing, let me just put it that out there right now as well, guys. If for any reason whatsoever you are facing any difficulties with audio, or if the video is not clear or anything like that, please do let us know in the chat as well. We'll check it from our side, and if it's still not working, I recommend you guys to leave, whether you're watching on LinkedIn, YouTube, or someplace else, or even go to webinar. Just leave the meeting and join in once again. I'm pretty sure then the whatever issue is resolved, gets resolved in that particular space. So again, if you are facing something like that, make sure you do that. Okay, Rajesh, you're in New Jersey, I'm guessing, working as a portfolio manager at Capgemini. That's great, Rajesh. Again, please do mention whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or an expert in the Azure data engineering domain. Are you already committed that you're gonna learn the skill, explore this technology as a whole, get into this field, or you're just exploring right now your different options as well? Okay, great doubt, Sridhar. We're gonna pick this up once we are pretty much done with the technical part. So again, let all the questions coming. Let's keep them coming. Okay, great, Rajesh. Okay, we're gonna provide you guys, the best efficient manner how you could cover these topics as well. So don't worry, we've got plenty of different stuff lined up for you today. So if you're a beginner, you are planning to get in the domain, it's going to be really beneficial for you guys today. So, okay, the timer hit zero, and we are live with our session on data engineering with Azure Databricks. What, why, and what's the job scope as well. So, again, welcome everybody. My name is Shivansh Thakur, and I'll be your host and moderator for today's session. Before I start the session, I want you guys to just remember one thing, that you ask your questions. Okay, somebody from my team is unmuted. Can you please mute yourself? And again, throughout the session, make sure that you're asking all the questions that you have, all the doubts you have throughout the session. Please do not hold back. These sessions are happening just so that we can clear your doubts. So make sure that is not the case with you guys, that you're holding back. Okay, let's start then. Just a second. So, okay, let's have a look at what you'll be learning today. We're going to start with the very basics, like I mentioned. So, if you're a beginner, going to be really, really good for you. We're going to start with introduction to Databricks, that we are covering. Why, Databricks is designed or developed. Why is it being used in the industry as a whole? How we will be able to use Databricks? How can you use in your daily, in your work? How can you use that? Then, what are the different terminologies that are used in Databricks, and what do these mean as well? Then we're gonna be having a demo as well, live demo. We will be looking at reading and writing data in storage account using Databricks, so you actually get to experience how Databricks, actually work in real life as well. Then we're also going to be looking at a few things that are about data engineering, Azure data engineering as a whole, because at the end, even if you're learning the Azure Databricks, your end goal, the job role that you are targeting for, is going to be Azure data engineering as well. So we're going to be looking at why Azure data engineer, what's the job role like, why is there so much demand in the market. Then we are again on building on that, we're going to see why do companies hire Azure data engineers. Then we will also be looking at, are Azure data engineers really in demand? Like, what are the numbers? What are the statistics? When we are talking about data, we gotta look at the statistics, right? So we're gonna be looking at that. We're gonna be looking at job opportunities and market trends as to what is the job opportunities in the space like, and also what are the average salary packages and so much more. Then we're going to be looking at the certification of this. That's the Microsoft Azure Data Engineer Associate Certification. You can see the badge down below on the bottom right. So this is the certification badge. We're going to be looking at what is the percentage breakthrough of the different topics that are there. And we're also going to be looking at what are the hands-on labs that you need to perform. When I talk about hands-on labs, these are the practical implementation of the certain topics that are there, that you need to perform to be able to clear this particular certification. So we're going to be looking at that. Apart from that, we're going to be also looking at job path and Azure data engineer certification. That means not just the hands-on lab, but what are the theoretical knowledge that you also know, what are the different topics that you should be doing. And to top it all off, we're going to be letting you know what is the most efficient way that you should be looking at while learning these particular topics. Like, okay, this is the time that you need to dedicate to this, these are the hands-on labs that you need to cover with this topic, and so on. What is the flow of the topics, like topic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on, how you should be looking at that. So we'll be talking about that. We call it the learning path. This is one of the flagships of K21 Academy as well. We tell you what is the best possible way that you can adopt to clear that particular certification. So again, really going to be beneficial for you. Again, before I move on to the next one, I see again people are still joining in, and I don't want you guys to be missing out on anything. So if you guys have any questions, guys, make sure you already put them down. We have a dedicated Q&A section. We're going to cover all of that. So again, irrespective of technical doubts, whether we're going to be talking about the course that we offer as well, so any doubts regarding that, any kind of career related doubt, make sure you put them down in the chat window or the comment section of whichever social media platform you're watching. So make sure that you're covering that. Okay. And again, we've got an incredible team here with me as well. We've got Isra, we've got Pratibha as well. So they are working at the back end to answer your questions as efficiently and as quickly as possible. Again, let me introduce our trainer for the evening. We've got Aman with us here as well. He's a Microsoft certified trainer. He's got extensive years of experience in the IT domain. He's currently working with the Azure SQL family products. He has, like I said, over 9 years of experience. And in the training aspect as well, all of the students that I've talked to recently about his have, have incredible and, just praises to tell me about him and the way he teaches. These are some of the many certifications that he has cleared and the badges that he has gotten throughout the different years. Again, I see a lot of you guys are joining in now as well. So make sure that you put them down in the chat window as to, are you a beginner? Are you an intermediate? Or are you an expert in the field of data engineering? So again, put them down in the chat window. I'm looking at the chat window and I want to see that almost each and every one of you answer whether are you a beginner, are you an intermediate, or are you an expert in the field of data engineering. So again, make sure that you put them down as quickly as possible. I see beginner, Kumlan is a beginner, Ulrich is a beginner, Gane- Ganesan. I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'm really bad with names. But again, you're a beginner as well. Puneet is a beginner as well. So again, great to see that. I'm seeing on YouTube as well. Lakshmi, beginner, Ratnala, again, beginner. Great, guys. Again, make sure Himanshu, if you are interested in Microsoft Azure and data engineering, then definitely it's going to be a great session for you. But again, if you want to learn something different, if you're interested in something different, just make sure you put them, just comment down in the chat window, and my team can, help you out with that particular space as well. But if you are interested in Microsoft Azure and data engineering, the session is going to be beneficial for you. Okay, I see a lot of you guys are beginners. So again, great to see that. Incredible, very good, going to be very, very beneficial for you guys today. So just make sure that you're focused. Okay, exactly my point. Make sure that you're focused and you're asking whatever questions you have. Like I mentioned, I'm looking at all the different social media platforms. My team is working behind the scenes as well to make sure that your questions are being answered as well. So make sure that you are asking all your questions. Okay, I'll be giving this session over to Aman now, and he'll be presenting and teaching you the amazing domain of cloud data engineering, and today for the session, Databricks as well. So I hope I'm audible, and
Thanks a lot,
that
Shivansh. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Hello and welcome. Welcome to this amazing webinar that is hosted for you regarding the Databricks service. I hope that all of you are safe and healthy at your places. And let's get started. Let me present my screen. So I hope that the screen is visible, right? So thanks a lot
yes, sir.
again for joining, and let's get started. So this is the Databricks, and this webinar is hosted for you to understand that how the role of data engineering and how the various products and services like Azure Databricks, which is one of the great service, can give you the edge in your career, and you'd be able to understand that how multiple organizations, the multinational corporations, how they drive advanced data analytics on top of the data that they capture, right? So we're going to look at the product, we're going to look at a demonstration that will help you understand that how do you use these products, particularly Azure Databricks, in order to go ahead and do advanced analytics. So let's get started with the introduction to Databricks and Azure Databricks. What is Azure Databricks? In the introduction, most of you have told us that you are new to IT and you are exploring the world of information technology. We need to emphasize this right up front that data is the king, right? We used to say customer is the king, but nowadays we say that the data that the customer leaves is the king, right? And the data is in all forms and shapes, right? You have tables, you have forms, you have transactions, you have orders, you have JSON customer profiles, and you have the wide column family Cassandra databases, literally everything, right? Everything in the world is floating in the form of data, that too in the form of diverse forms and shapes, right? So structured, semi-structured, unstructured data, videos, streams, click streams. So data is everywhere. And the organizations in the modern world have understood that to be the business leader and beat the competitors and make them the business laggers, they need to derive the value out of this data. They cannot leave this data untapped. Data is the new oil, data is the new customer, the king, right? The customer is no longer the king. The data that the customer leaves is the king, right? So when you have such massive volumes of data, the data being captured at very high velocity, the data having a lot of variety and veracity, data quality issues as well, it becomes extremely important to process the data with high reliability and top notch performance, right? Unbeatable Spark based performance, electrical performance, right? So, what is Azure Databricks? Azure Databricks is a service that helps you do blazingly fast serverless model of data analytics on top of all forms of your data, whatever the kind of data that you may have, be it recommendation engines that you want to build, be it the customer churn analysis that you want to conduct, be it the flight analytics that you want to conduct, anything, everything. The projects that I have done on Azure Databricks for the flight analytics, right? For all these aircraft, air carrier operators that you have who carry you from various airports across the globe, how to study their um, patterns of movements, right? How to make sure that they optimize their travel paths so that they save the aviation kerosene and they optimize their revenues. For instance, let me tell you one of the scenarios on Azure Databricks that I was a part of. And the aim of that project was that uh, one of the air carriers, right, they approached our firm, and the project was basically to make sure that we design real time paths or the entire movement paths of the freight as well as the passengers in such a way that the aviation kerosene that they purchase is conserved. A single liter of aviation kerosene purchase is thousands of dollars of additional revenue to these companies, right? And that's how they become highly profitable, by doing a lot of conservation of the expenses on the flights. So, how do you design such a massive volume of data in a form of a graphical structure, right? Because the entire air traffic control we can model as a graphical format, right? And then study it in detail and design the data in such a way that we will be able to carry advanced analytics and do such kind of convex optimizations, whereby we are preserving the aviation kerosenes, making sure that the times are not hampered, the flight times are also reduced, and so on and so forth. So, Databricks is a service that is used in advanced analytical phases on the data, and it is must, right? If you want to become a data professional, you have to carry the badge on your resume that you know how to use this product, you know how to leverage this product on the data that your customers, your clients, and your employers provide you. It has a lakehouse platform inside it. Now, lakehouse platform is basically a combination of data lakes and data warehouses. In the modern world, we are living in a world of modern data warehousing, where we combine both the worlds, the world of lakes and the world of our warehouses. So it has a high performance query engine that you can use on top of such a structured transaction layer of your lake house, called as a delta lake, right? And it is an enterprise ready platform, meaning depending on the complexity and the scale of your projects, you would be able to bring your data analysts, your data scientists, your machine learning engineers, your data engineers, all of them into a collaborative domain. Provides you advanced business intelligence and SQL based analytics. So if your data professionals are highly trained in SQL, you'd be able to use that. Okay. And it is for production based machine learning as well, because it's a platform that has Spark ML lib library living inside it. So when you will go into the technical details of the product, you will see how this product spans out in multiple dimensions. Now, the question that arises is that why should you learn Azure Databricks? The simple answer is, what will you do with the data, which is a raw material, right? It has to be cleansed, it has to be transformed, it has to be enriched, and it has to be analyzed and queried so that you can tap the value out of it, right? You need to bring out the derivatives out of this data, this raw crude data, right? Just the way you fetch out the petrol and diesel out of your crude oil and the Brent, which are the derivatives, by burning the crude. In a similar way, when you crunch the raw data, you get the derivatives out of it, which are advanced analytics like business intelligence, predictive analytics, cognitive analytics, descriptive and prescriptive analytics. So, to put it in the simplest words, I should say that Databricks is a product that would assist you in carrying out all forms of analytics: descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, cognitive analytics, and diagnostic analytics. Those are the five broad domains of analytics which people study, right? So how do we create Databricks? How Databricks is designed and developed? So you're going to have a Databricks account in which you will have a Databricks admin. They were going to provide you various kinds of workspaces. You can develop dev workspace, staging workspace, production workspaces, and your users can come through single sign-on feature of the Azure AD inside the workspace to work. And they're going to have shared or separate compute resources depending on the kind of the computing model that you want to give them. And it also allows you to deploy that on all the three major cloud platforms like your Google, Amazon, and the Azure. And this webinar is especially to focus on Azure. It also has a metadata layer to manage structured data for you, which is used in the form of Unity Catalog, which is a shared metadata catalog for SQL based analytics inside the Databricks. Now the question is, how do we typically use it? Now, to learn how we use Databricks, obviously it will take time. It will take you practice sessions. It will take you proper instructions to understand how do you leverage this product. But I will demonstrate today an excerpt of my work, right, which is basically on the flight analytics, right? Although I have a lot of scenarios, lot of proof of concepts to discuss with you, we can, but time is also a matter. We will have to restrict ourselves to the limitations of the schedule of this webinar as well, right? So I will highlight four different scenarios, but one of them we will demonstrate, and the other three scenarios will be provided to you for practice in case you want to practice them. I have a full PDF for you in which you could take that and practice it. Okay. So how is it used? You set up an account. We will do very shortly from now. Create a cluster, create a notebook, upload the data, and mount the data from your lake, right? Instead of using pandas data frame, we will look at how do you interact with a lake, right? So it's a variation, right? Rather than authoring the pandas data frame, we will look at the storage account, as Shivansh had told you earlier. Also, the demo contains how do you interact with a lake account. Okay. Different terminologies in the Databricks, right? First of all, let's quickly highlight them, because as soon as I go to the demonstrations, you will see these words popping out over there from my discussions. Databricks provides you a collaborative workspace. Now, what is a workspace? Workspace is something that gonna bring all your resources in a single place, be it compute, be it data, be it pipelining, be it your version management system, anything, everything that you need in order to carry out a data project will be inside the workspace. Second point, all kinds of professionals, depending on the kind of a project, whether the project is um, collaborative in nature. Collaborative means, the kind of projects that we see in the modern world have vast scale and highly complex, right? So various kinds of professionals collaborate together. Data analysts, data scientists, machine learning engineers, data engineers, SQL professionals, they all collaborate together, right? And when they collaborate together, they need to enter into the workspace in a secure manner. And that happens through the single sign-on features provided by the Azure Active Directory. So a collaborative workspace bringing everything together. And secondly, you will have the options to properly let all your professionals enter into the workspace and enjoy the data projects, right? Managed infrastructure. Now you need to understand that when you are going to crunch such massive volumes of data, which are in such great variety, so high velocity, right? It's not going to be an easy task for you to manage the hardware to crunch it, right? So it would be obviously more intelligent to use a platform that is serverless in nature. Serverless means you don't take any headache of managing servers. Serverless approach. You focus on your work. Don't focus on managing infra. Don't focus on managing infra, but focus on your project, the deliverables of your project, all the clusters, all the hardware in the clusters, and the versions of the clusters, which means what kind of a software, the Databricks runtime, to be more precise, that cluster is running. You can change it with a single click of a button. You can change it with a single click of a button. Managed infra. You just focus on your work, let Databricks manage everything that you need. Okay. It provides you Spark, and that's the most wonderful thing. What is a Spark? Spark is an in memory big data processing framework. It processes the data in the random access memory, RAM, the semiconductor RAM. Looking at the basics of computer engineering, we know that hard disk is a mechanical system, right? It has read write head, moving spindles, and all those things. Whereas random access memory is semiconductor. And your processor, which is the CPU or a GPU or a TPU, they are also semiconductor systems, right? So if you process the data in a RAM, it would be 10,000 times faster as compared to processing the data on the disk, because disk is a mechanical system whereas RAM is a semiconductor system, right? So Spark is an in-memory parallel distributed big data processing framework that can process literally everything, be it Hadoop storage, Hadoop distributed file system, data warehouses, cloud storages like Amazon S3 and Azure Data Lake, and IoT. And you'd be able to carry out everything: machine learning, business intelligence, data exporting, data warehouse development, scale without limits, enhance productivity, and build on secure and trusted cloud, which is the Azure. They're going to give you collaborative workspace to bring all kind of professionals in, like engineers, scientists, analysts. You'd be able to develop production jobs and workflows, multi-stage pipelines, job scheduling, and notifications and logs. And it comes with such advanced features like Databricks IO, Spark, serverless, and RESTful APIs for you to work with. All in all, a full package for advanced business intelligence, advanced data analytics. Delta. Delta is a very important topic in the modern world of data. Delta means making data reliable when processing it. If you look at data processing, if two processors try to process the same data at a time, they can corrupt it, right? Very basic concept, everyone can relate to it, that if you have a single file and two writers try to write into the same file, the file has the potential to get corrupted. That's called as overwriting, right? So if you do overwriting in a file, obviously the file can get corrupted. So how do we make sure that we never ever allow any kind of a corruption to occur in our data? And how do we systematically refine our data from raw to query to summarization and aggregations which are to be reported? So when you will look at the details and you will study the details of business intelligence, you will see that whenever we conduct advanced analytics on the data, we convert the data into delta format and then systematically refine it into the bronze, silver, and gold. Now, this is a very advanced architecture. It's not a simple architecture to understand, but the point is quite simple, that you systematically add value to your data. First of all, you have raw, bronze, query, silver, and then the last and the final business aggregations and reporting solutions. That's called as the gold. And delta is a mechanism that helps us do so. Okay. ML flow, another very beautiful technology invented by Databricks organization. And ML flow is a project experiment tracking and monitoring solution that is used when you conduct machine learning operationalization workflows. Now, ML flow is an advanced technology. This has been put on the slide in order to make sure you understand that in the future, if you build your career into this platform, you'll have to learn ML flow projects, ML flow models, tracking and model registry. And this is typically used in machine learning operationalization. SQL analytics, obviously SQL is the soul of data analytics, right? If you call yourself a data professional, you would have taken a course on SQL, right? Structured query language. Whether you have learned American National Standards Institute SQL or the International Standard Organization SQL, the point is you would have studied SQL. It's not possible that a SQL is not under the belt. Um, so the point that an intelligent mind would ask is, I am a SQL expert. I have learned SQL a lot. I have done work on SQL a lot. Can I bring this expertise in Databricks? I am learning this product Databricks, Azure Databricks. Can I bring my SQL expertise inside it? Absolutely yes. And that's the point, that if you are a SQL expert, you will feel home. You will feel home inside the Databricks, right? Because it supports something called Spark SQL, and it even allows you to query the data using standard NC SQL as well. Okay, American National Standard Institute SQL. Yes, right. Let's look at a demonstration now. Right, let's go for a demonstration in which we will see how do we go ahead to design a system in which we will have a Databricks cluster, Databricks workspace, read and write the data from the data storage account, which is a lake account, and carry out analytics on top of it. Typically ETL, extract, transform, load back. So read means extract, process means transform, and write it back after processing, that is load, ETL. So we're going to conduct an ETL system over here in front of you. Now, because the resources take time to deploy, I have already deployed the resources, but I will discuss with you how to deploy them, right? So let's go ahead. So here we are. Let me take you to the platform. First of all, this is the document published by my colleagues at Microsoft, right? And you have in it three beautiful scenarios mentioned, that how we leverage Azure Databricks for customer churn analysis, movie recommendations, and the intrusion detections. And all of these are demonstrations. Now, this book will help you see these demonstrations, but I have designed a separate one for you to do some more value addition, because this link I will supply you very shortly, our team. But on top of it, one more demonstration, which is the flight analytics, I will try to show you. Okay. So here we are on the Azure portal, right? So what is Azure portal? If any one of you are new to the Azure platform, Azure portal is a website that we use in order to work with our Azure, right? The Azure cloud. You can see I am on the home page of Azure. So the first and the foremost thing that we are talking about in this session is to deploy an Azure Databricks workspace. So how do you do that? You need to simply search on the top global search bar, Databricks. And when you do so, you get an option, Azure Databricks, and you click on that. And then you get an option to click create and create an Azure Databricks workspace. Yes, here you have create an Azure Databricks workspace. So you select the subscription, you put it inside a resource group. Resource group is a management group. Okay. So I'm going to say DP203 demo RG, like that, right? Data engineering, data platform engineering. You need to give your workspace a name, right? Generally, we give it like this. You say bricks, WS, environment, dev, East US, name of the project, Omega. Follow naming conventions. It looks good. So bricks workspace, dev, East US, Omega. Okay. Select the region. You have so many regions where you can go. So East US. Now, Microsoft offers to you Databricks in two pricing tiers, standard and the premium. Generally, in the production grade experience, you use premium because it comes with both single sign on with Azure AD plus role based access control. And in production, we obviously need RBAC, role based access control, right? And standard will only come with the Spark clusters and the single sign on feature of the Azure AD. So typically you end up leveraging premium in the production environment. Networking, amazing. Security people, right? So if you have a security mindset, you will ask a question. Hey, you are saying me to deploy a data service in cloud, that too in a public cloud. Public cloud are internet exposed, right? Basics. Public clouds are exposed to internet, right? Cloud computing is a model of computing whereby the IT services are delivered in a form of utility through the internet. Right? That's the definition of cloud computing, right? From the book I have taken it. So if you're exposing yourself to the internet, that is not going to work, right? Nobody will adopt the things. So can you deploy it in your own private workspace? Can you make it a private workspace? Private? Absolutely yes. So if you have a concern of security on your mind, you know, yes, Databricks can be deployed securely privately. Now it's an advanced concept how we deploy it privately. If you go into the network engineering, you will see that. But right now I just highlight that point. Similarly, you have one more option, excuse me, where we say no public IPs should be ever given to any cluster machines. When I'm going to create my cluster will have virtual machines in it. And I do not want any virtual machines to ever have a public IP. And what are public IPs? IPs that can be routed through the internet. Security concern. So, bottom line, even if your mindset is secure mindset, Microsoft takes care of security as well. Okay. Advanced, they do advanced double level encryption strategies, modern encryption standards, advanced encryption standard 256, elliptic curve encryption standards. They use all such state of the art encryption standards, right? So enable the infrastructure encryption, and it uses the state of the art encryption standards, right? And then you have tags, and then you say review and create, right? So a very simple form to fill, and as soon as you fill this form, you get your workspace ready. So you can see I already have the workspace ready, right? To conserve some time, I have more than one. I have deployed this one for you for the today's webinar. You can see webinar Databricks K21. Okay, it's a premium workspace. We also need a storage layer, right, where we're going to keep our data. This is a course about data, so uh, we need a place where we can store that data, and that's called as a lake account, an ADLS generation 2 account, Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 2. When you will come in the advanced studies, you will see the use cases of lakes. Right now we need a lake because I'm going to keep my data on it, and I will do ETL through it only, right, on that layer of data. So how do we deploy a lake account? Let's quickly look at that, how we deploy a lake account. So to deploy a lake account, on the top global search bar, you have to simply search storage account. Storage account. So when you search storage account on the top global search bar, you can click on this link, storage account. See, I have a lot of them. So I can click on this button that says create a lake account. So I create a lake account over here. So how do we create? Let's fill this form very quickly. So subscription, put it inside a resource group. Okay. Give it a name. So you can give it any name, my storage layer, and some random numbers. Keep it in some region. Make it standard performance because we don't need premium performance. Okay. And some replication strategy of LRS. So when you will study it in detail, you will study what all these settings are. But right now we are quickly setting up a lake account. So to set up a lake account, you can see here there is a setting on the advanced page. So on the advanced page, you see one setting that says data lake storage generation 2. The data lake storage generation 2 hierarchical namespace accelerates big data analytic workloads and enables file level access control lists, ACLs. So you'd be able to enable the hierarchical namespace. And when you enable that, you have a lake account. You say review, and you simply say create after review. That's it. So you can see I have prepared for you a lake account. To conserve the time, I have prepared these things ahead of the call. Otherwise, it's going to take a lot of time. See, webinar data lake K21. So here is a Bricks account. Here is a lake account. Now, in this lake account, I have a folder called as a raw data. So if you look at my lake account, I have a folder called as a raw data. And in this folder, I have some data floating around over here, right? I had tested my demonstration, so all this is created through my demonstration. So I'm going to delete them, but this is my raw data that you see over here. This is my raw data. And now you might ask, where have you brought it from? Now, this is the data which is in the CSV format, which is the data of the flight operations of our carrier from 1987 to 2016, right? Only a single file I have taken from that. Okay, and this is the data of the flight operations of, so the size of the file is very large, so we'd not be able to see it even over here, right? So it has a lot of data, around about 200 megabytes. You have 191 megabytes, right? So this data contains flight operations data, and we want to carry out analytics on this and understand the various parameters of the flight operations. and then subsequently model the data in such a way that we are able to recommend to the carrier the optimal routes and the paths which help them conserve the expenses, aviation kerosenes, the times, the freight charges, and so on and so forth, so that they are operating on a profitable model, right? And that's how they remain ahead from their competitors. We know that the aviation world is a highly competitive world, right? Okay. So I have this raw data which has been provided to me by the application development team at our carriers, who is our client. Now my goal is to, given this basic raw material, that is the data, I need to answer the questions that the business team of my client is asking me. Basically, they're going to ask business questions, right? They are not technical people. They will ask business questions. And it is the work of a data professional to translate such business questions into technical data questions, which can be answered through your SQL or through Spark SQL and so on and so forth. So now the question that arises is, how do you use these two products and carry out analytics, right? So here is our web, here is our workspace. So you see there is a button that says launch workspace, right? You look at launch workspace. So let me click on this button that says launch workspace. Let me close other tabs at this moment. You see we have launched our workspace. Excuse me. After launching the workspace, you need to understand that you need hardware on which you will process the data, and that's called as cluster compute. Cluster compute. There are various kinds of clusters: all purpose clusters, which are also called as interactive clusters. You have job clusters, you have pre-hydrated idle pools, and you have cluster level policies to govern all of them. Now when you will learn the product in greater detail, you will see how do we leverage all these things for a typical data project. But right now we need an all purpose cluster to do this demonstration. I have already deployed one because I need it. It takes a little time to deploy, around about 7 to 8 minutes, which we cannot allow you to wait, right? It would be wasting your time, which we should not do. So I will just quickly discuss how do we deploy a cluster, and then we'd be able to take it from there. So when you click on the button that says create a cluster, you'd be able to do it, right? So this is my cluster, Aman's cluster, right? Aman's cluster. And here you can see multi-node and single node. Obviously, when you will work in a production environment, you will need multi-node cluster, right? Multi-node, right now you can imagine it like that. There is a project manager, and the project manager will obviously need more than one employee within his team to successfully carry out the projects. So multi-node clusters. Access mode of a cluster: do you want that cluster to be shared by multiple people, single user, no isolation, right? How do you want to do that? Okay, so that you can select. Then runtime version, always go with the runtime version 10.4 long term support. Okay, you need to leverage runtime version 10.4 long term support. Now you will come to know in the later sections of this study how do we appropriately take decisions of which dbr to use, what Scala version to use, what Spark version to use, how to do capacity planning of the clusters. Right now time does not allow me to go into that much detail, but I'm going to quickly show you how to fill the form. So I want a worker of the type standard DS3 version 2 machines, which will give me 14 gigs of RAM and 4 cores of virtual hyper-threaded machine. And a single worker is sufficient for me. Spot instances means bidding processes. I don't want to conduct any kind of a bidding at this moment. And the driver, I need a driver machine. Driver is just like a project manager. Right now, we can highlight it in that way. So one project manager, one team manager are here who gonna work. Okay. Terminate: in case you are not using this cluster, don't waste any money and create the cluster. So once you create the cluster looks something like this. I have over here this cluster for you. So what do I do over here? So I'm going to say start the cluster. So here you see my demo cluster is getting started, right? Going to take a little time. Meanwhile, the cluster is starting. You must think about a point. What is the point? The point is, how do my cluster access the data? Because data is not available publicly. Sorry, this data is not publicly available. That's common sense, right? Data is private in nature. You can see here. So if I show you the access level, you can see it's private here. So the data that you see over here, the data is private. So when the data is private, how do my cluster access it? That we do using something called as service principal application registration process. Okay, how do we do that? See this, right? So you need to go to another service. Okay, and that service is called as Azure Active Directory service. Okay, so I will navigate to Azure Active Directory. Here you see Azure Active Directory. So let me click on that. And I need to see this feature called as app registrations. App registration. So let's click on that, app registrations. And here you see I have done a registration for Databricks over here. Databricks registration. How do we do that? It's quite simple. You click over here, new registration. You say, I want to create a service principal application registration over here, right? So what can I name over here? Anything you can name, demo registration Databricks, like that. Demo registration Databricks. So I do a registration, demo registration hyphen Databricks, and accounts in this organizational directory. Right now, we don't need to go into the details of these. This is called as a line of business application. This is called as the collaboration application. This is called as the consumer plus collaboration, and this is called as the consumer, right? A lot of details are there, obviously. So I can select this one at this moment and register. So once you register, it gives you a registration like this. You see, I have a registration over here, Databricks registration. And I will create a password for this registration as well. So that we can do from here, certificates and secrets. That's essentially nothing but a password that I will create. So I click on certificates and secrets, and you see I have a password that I had authored just a few minutes ago before the start of the session. Okay. So we have over here the password. So I need three things. What are they? What are the three things? I need the client ID, the tenant ID, and that password. Those three things I need. That we can record in a note. That we can record in a notepad, right? So we can record that in a notepad and record those three things. So again, to repeat, what do we need to record? App ID, directory ID, and the password we can record. That would be required to authenticate our cluster and allow our cluster to access what? The data here. But authentication is only one side of the coin. Second side of the coin is authorization. How do you authorize? And to authorize, you have to look at this access control IAM. If I click on this access control IAM, I can click on plus, add a role assignment. And what role should I give to my cluster? We need to give the role to our cluster to do blob contribution. Storage blob data contributor. Storage blob data contributor allows to read, write, and delete access to blob containers and data. And to whom I should give it? I should give it to my bricks registration. So I will copy that and I will copy that and I will give it to our bricks. So say select members, and we can select the bricks over here. This one, select and review and assign. So once you do that, both side of the coins are taken care. For instance, if I show you the role assignments, you will see our bricks has been given the blob contributor role over here, right? So here you see, yeah, here you see storage blob data contributor, and who has been given that role? Bricks registration. So this takes care of authentication, this password, and this takes care of authorization. Authentication and authorization of the cluster will be all fine. So now my cluster would be able to do what? Both authentication and authorization. So now we can start writing the code in order to read the data from here, and process the raw data. Okay, how do we do that? We go to the workspace, we go to the users, which is, this is my name here, and I can click on create a new notebook. I can say I want to create a new notebook. Now, before the session itself, I have written the code, because if I write the code now, it's going to take a lot of time, right? So you can see that if I go inside this folder, I have a demo notebook authored, which explains to you the process of read, write, transform, query, and analyze the data living on the lake. So how do we connect to the lake? See this. This is called as connection to the lake. We need a configuration library. There's a configuration dictionary. Don't look at too much of the code at this moment, right? You should focus on what is the code asking: client ID, client password, and the tenant ID. Those three things that we had recorded. So you see here, I have supplied them. So this is my client ID D255. So that I have put over here. You can see D255. My client secret, the password, right? So I have supplied the password over there. So that password N_S and something something. This is my password. And then here is the tenant ID, nothing but my AD account. So here, if you observe, this is the thing that I have supplied: 61C, BAC, and all of this, right? You can see that we have supplied it over here. And then I say that this is the configuration, and I want my lake to be mounted with this mount point inside my DBFS, Databricks file system. So what is this ABFSS? Azure Blob File System over SSL. And I am saying I want to mount raw data in the webinar data lake from its distributed file system endpoint. Now you will study these things in greater detail. What is ABFSS? What is WASBS? What is DFS? What is Blob? So on and so forth. So right now, if you observe, I'm trying to mount this raw data, which is living inside this webinar data lake K21. So that's what I'm saying. Raw data at webinar data lake k21.dfs.co.windows.net, and ABFSS driver and the DFS endpoint has to be used, and mount it on this mount point. Mounting is beneficiary because mounting allows us to go ahead and use the data into all clusters. If I create hundreds of clusters, all clusters will be able to process it once and for all. So we can run it, right? So I can say run the cell. Okay, it's already mounted, right? Because I had tested it, right? I need to clear the state and the output in order to do it again. But you can see that we have already mounted that, okay? So once you run this cell, it mounts it. So after mounting, what happens? What does it do? So let me show you that. So I'm going to go to the settings. I will go to the admin console, and I will go to the workspace settings. And in the workspace settings, I will enable the DBFS file browser, Databricks file system browser. So let me enable that, Databricks file system browser, right? So here we enable, and let me refresh the page after enabling the Databricks file system browser. Now let's go to the data. Let's go to the DBFS. Here is the MNT. Let's select a cluster to browse the MNT. Confirm. And then we'd be able to look into MNT and see the kind of, see the flight data. And in that, you will see whatever the data that we upload over here will be visible over there. So raw data will be uploaded by pipelines. Those pipelines are called as integration and movement pipelines. We use services like Azure Data Factory for that, right? So you're going to use services like Azure Data Factory to upload raw data over here, okay? And that data will be seamlessly available to us inside our bricks now, and we'll be able to process it seamlessly, okay? So you can see I have done the mounting procedure, and once the mounting procedure is completed, we'd be able to go ahead and process it, okay? So after mounting, if I were to show you the mount point, what does it contain? I just showed you. If you want to look at it in the code, it is like this: Databricks utilities.filesystem.list /mnt/flight data. And here it shows you that, hey, you have this file living inside that mount point. Essentially, anything that gets uploaded over here will be visible. You can upload thousands of files using a data factory pipeline over here, and that would be seamlessly available to you to process. So now you see I'm going to carry out an ETL on it. Extract, transform, and load. Extract, transform, and load. Okay. So I am authoring something called as a Spark data frame. A Spark data frame, you can think like a table at this moment, right? When you will look at details, you will come to know that there are differences between table and a data frame. But right now we can say I am authoring a data frame, and this is the way how we do it. So spark.read.format CSV options header is present in the file. Infer the schema, that is the column names and the data types, and load it from that mount point. So I'm loading all the CSV files. And flight data frame.write.mode. So whatever I load, I'm writing it in the append mode as a Parquet file. So what I'm doing, I'm converting the format of my data from CSV to Parquet. And you know what is Parquet? Parquet is a block oriented, column oriented structured file format for big data processing. So when you will look at data processing, you'll always see that we use Parquet format. So let me read the data and subsequently write it back after converting it in the Parquet format. So let's do that. So here I am running. See, it's submitting a Spark job. It's moving ahead. It's reading the data in the CSV format and converting its data type and writing it back to the lake into the Parquet format. Done. So if it's done, check out here. So if you go inside that container, raw data, you should see a folder called as Parquet. In that you should see flights, and in that you should see the data written in Parquet format, that too in the partitioned manner. Now why it created 4 partitions? Because this is called as Spark default parallelism. Spark uses default parallelism equal to the number of cores that you have on the cluster. So the cluster that we are using at this moment has 8 cores, 4 in the driver, 4 in the worker. So how many cores it has in the worker? 4 cores in the worker. So it is called as balancing the slot and the partition. Number of slots on the clusters are balanced to the number of partitions. So when it is writing this file, it is creating 4 partitions of your file, which means your data is partitioned into 4 files. Physical sharding of the data has been done. Okay. Default parallelism. It is also even compressed using snappy compression. So not only did I just transform the data, but I also compressed it, partitioned it, sharded it. Amazing, amazing, right? So this simple format. I did not do anything complex over here. I said I am not happy to process the data in the CSV format. I want to process the data in the Parquet format. So I use conversion to Parquet. Now let me show you what all data we have gotten on our mount point. So import os.path, import ipython from PySpark SQL, import SQL context. So these are some imports, generic imports that we carry out. And Databricks utility file system list. Same thing is essentially what I did earlier. I'm just trying to do it again for you and print it in a user-friendly manner like a table over here. So look, we have 2 files now. This is the raw data, which is now converted into our Parquet format. Okay. So all these are the files. Now, can you create a new file altogether? Would you like to create a new file altogether? Obviously, why not? So to create a new file, you can say Databricks utilities dot file system dot put a new file. Put the file in the flight data folder, and the name of the file is one.txt, and you can put any data in that file. For instance, you could say over here, I am learning Databricks. Okay. Excuse me. And Databricks utilities to file system dot list again. What are the content of that folder? So if you do that, you'd be able to conduct. So it wrote 24 bytes. Okay, and that file is created. So that file is created in the flight data folder. You'll be able to check it, obviously. Flight data folder, raw data, and you can see here one.txt. Okay, and in that one.txt, you can see that just the folder, the exact thing that we just created. I am learning Databricks, right? So even you can author files of any type that you may want, right? If you want a JSON, text, CSV, Parquet, Avro, XML, whatever the kind of file you want, you can create that. Now I come to the point where I show you a query, right? We're going to do a query on this, okay? And we'll try to do a little bit of, first of all, show you the data and then try to query that also, okay? So here we are going to read our raw file. So spark.read.format CSV options header is present. Schema inference has to be done from a CSV file and load that raw data. Okay. And write that in a Parquet format as airline codes. Okay. Then the airline codes, which is living inside the flight data, I will read all the flights data from the flight data path that we had created earlier. So I have this flight data in the Parquet. I have this flights. So I will read all this data, these Parquet files over here that I have, and then carry out some kind of analytics on them. For instance, I count the total number of files, just a very basic number, right? Total file sample flights that I have in the file. Okay. Okay. I show you the top 100 rows of the raw data and show you the top 20 rows of the flight data. Okay. And then I will show you the entire data set, just trying to show you the data and count of the total number of files. Okay. So let's do that. here you go. Here it creates our data frames. Okay, so ACDF and flight DF both are created. Then a small little display over here. Here is a show. Show is basically, when you look at the show prints as a console, right? So show basically prints the data as a console. So you'll see here, right? Not a very good way to do the things, but just because you will learn these things when you will go into the advanced sections of study. How do you use show and display? But we use display. So here you can see that how the data looks like: year, quarter, month, day of the week, flight date, and the reporting airline, right? B6, DOT ID reporting airline, IATA code reporting airline, tail number, flight number, and so on and so forth. You have round about 200 columns in this, right? Which are recorded by the customers. Okay. So you need to carry out analytics on this, right? So the flight table contains the data exactly the same thing: MNT flight data, Parquet flights, and we author a view on it. And now you may ask me, what is this? This is what exactly that I'm trying to tell you. And I picked this specifically to bring it closer to our people's mind, that if you are an expert on SQL, and if you're comfortable with SQL, Databricks will be a powerful tool in your hand. Because anything that you have, which is a data frame or a managed table in Spark, you can author on top of it a view and query that view with your standard SQL expertise. You don't need to learn anything new. That's the bottom line. You'll have to learn it, but the point is, the thing that you know, you don't have to unlearn that. It's not unlearn and new learn. It is whatever you know, carry out that expertise. Okay. So I am creating two tables, one table by reading the data of this, another airline codes, which I will be reading over here. And then I am doing here beautiful queries using the standard SQL. So spark.sql, I carry out query number one on flight table, which is select a star from flight table where month is 1 and the year is 2016, January flights of January, and codes of the airline. So I count the total number of January flights. Out to spark.sql, select star from flight table where month 2. So this is the flights of February. Print the flights of January and the print the flights of February, and show you the total number of flights in the month of February, January, and February. And then I have over here some little more queries. I cannot write advanced analytical queries because that may be a little higher taste, right? But here you see, I am listing out all the airports and taxes from where the flights have been conducted. Select distinct origin city name from flight table where origin state name is Texas. And I'm finding all airlines that fly from Texas then for you. And that data could assist us in real time to track the operations of particular airline from particular airport and optimize those movements in real time. So select distinct air reporting airline from flight table where origin state name is Texas. So if I do that, you see we get over here January flights, these February nothing, total flights, and the origin city name Corpus Christi, Texas, Tyler, Laredo, Houston, Dallas, and so on and so forth. So many of these operators are there. Airports in Texas, airlines that fly to and from Texas, none. Which means we can carry out analytics of advanced nature even, right? So the bottom line of all the talks are that Databricks is such a diverse product that not only you can use it for data science and engineering, but you can even use it for machine learning experimentations. So if you come to advanced studies, if you come to a course called as DP090, right, you will study that how do we leverage Databricks in order to do machine learning. Okay, how to do machine learning using Databricks. SQL and data engineering is covered under DP203, data engineering on the Azure platform. And is one of the most beautiful learnings that you have, right? So data engineering, data science and engineering, DP203 discusses that with you in great detail. So we saw in this small little demonstration that how do you leverage your lake, your bricks clusters, your service principal app registrations, and your expertise of SQL in order to go ahead and analyze the data, right? So let me stop our compute at this moment because we have completed the demonstration. So I will terminate our cluster and revert back to the slides to discuss the slides with you. So Databricks demo, we saw this demonstration, and in the advanced demonstrations, advanced learnings, you will even see how do we combine these two together, data warehouses and Spark. Okay, that is called as Synapse SQL connectors. Okay, now we ask a question that
So,
Microsoft.
just a second. Really sorry to interrupt. Guys, I hope everything is making sense till now. You're able to understand. I see a lot of you guys are asking questions. That's great. Will be picking majority of the questions. I think a lot of them have already been picked by my team. The rest ones which have not been picked, we will be picking them up directly once the tech part is over. But in the meantime, I want you all to rate the session so far out of 5, 5 being the highest, and anything below than that, just make sure that you mention the reason as well so that we can improve the in the upcoming sessions. So make sure you put that. Rate us out of 5, 5 being the highest, and anything below than that, just mention the reason so that we can improve that. Whatever changes needs to be made to get that 5 rating, we get that. So make sure that you rate us. We are looking at the chat window as we go. Thank you, sir.
Right. So the questions will be picked by our team, and then within a short while after the demonstration, after the slides finish, I will also answer relevant questions that our people have. So why do you need to focus on the data engineer role? Now, data engineering is becoming more and more popular as compared to data science. Uh, Let me give you one analogy, right, which will um, help you to model your thoughts that why engineering is more important than data science. People generally go towards data science because it is being told to them that data science is the highest lucrative paid job in the world at this moment, DevOps engineering, data science. And people generally listen to such concerns. Obviously they should, that which have more monetary benefits for them. But data scientists typically learn libraries like scikit-learn, tensorflow, pytorch, keras, and they neglect behind the scene details of how the data is prepared. In the real world, we never get the data in the form and shape that we can use for downstream applications. So how do we capture the data? How do we move it? How do we integrate? How do we transform, enrich, and then subsequently make it ready to be consumed for data science operations? A data engineer knows how do we prepare the data, how do we design essentially automation pipelines that can assist downstream applications. And downstream applications can be anything. They can be predictive analytics applications, they can be recommendation system applications, they can be chatbot developments, they can be business intelligence. So the point is that if your aim is to go towards business domain side of data, answer business questions, because data scientists typically answer business questions, right? You need to first see where to bring the data from, how to prepare it, right, in order for it to be ready to answer the questions. An Azure data engineer is an individual who knows the entire data platform stack and how to use the data platform stack in order to make sure high quality, high fidelity, highly valuable data is always available for downstream applications. Okay. So why Azure Data Engineer? First of all, the growth of data. Data has data has very high value in it. And when the data has very high value in it, and when the data is growing exponentially, it becomes imperative upon data professionals to understand the art of data engineering, how to massage data, write proper scripts to prepare the analytics, to do data integration and orchestrations and pipelining. Data types. Data is available in all forms and shapes. This I had highlighted earlier as well. Data is available in a structured, semi-structured, unstructured like videos and images, semi-structured like your JSON, wide column families, and so on and so forth. And it becomes so important to understand that 80% to 90% of the value is not in structured tables, but it is in unstructured and semi-structured data. So your generic products like Oracle or SQL Server, they are not sufficient in the modern world. Gone are those days when people used to say, I am a PL SQL expert, give me $100K per year. Gone are those days, right? I meet a lot of senior people, right? What do they say? I am a SQL expert. I am a PL SQL expert, right? They are struggling in the industry, right? The world is moving very fast, right? What we say, cloud computing, clouds, fast moving clouds. If you look at the clouds in the sky, the clouds are moving very fast, right? So if you are carrying a single expertise nowadays, people generally will replace you very soon, because nowadays we need to know stacks, and Azure Data Engineering helps us learn the data platform stack of Microsoft Azure, right? And we know that 20% is structured and the rest of it, the tip of the iceberg, is structured, and the entire submerged hidden gems of the data lives in unstructured and semi-structured data sources. Why do companies hire such engineers? They hire you because I was also hired. What I felt why they hired me, because of the versatility of the data platform stack that you know. Data engineer is an individual. If anyone has no answer to the question, let us say you have a colleague, the colleague has not gotten an answer from anyone regarding some data product of Microsoft. If you have joined the team with the name data engineer, Azure data engineer, they're going to come to you. They expect you to know it. They expect you to know the entire data platform stack. What are the products in the data platform stack? Azure SQL Database, Azure SQL Managed Instances, Azure SQL Virtual Machines, Azure Database for PostgreSQL, Azure Database for MySQL, Azure Database for MariaDB, Redis Cache, okay? You have Cosmos DB, you have event hubs, you have event hub clusters, you have service bus, you have event grids, okay? You have data lakes, you have Databricks, you have HD Insight, okay? You have ADLA, Azure Data Lake Analytics Unified SQL, right? You have Spark, you have the Synapse Analytics, you have the Azure Data Factory, you have Data Purview. What I'm trying to tell you? I'm trying to tell you the data stack. Vast, the breadth of your knowledge is what will make you distinctive from others, right? When hiring managers hire data engineers, in practicality, they look at how versatile this individual is, because they are looking at people who know data platform stacks in variety, in the breadth. You may not know too much depth about every project, every product. If you know, if you have breadth as well as a depth, you are a genius, right? If you have both together, breadth as well as the depth, you are a genius, right? But generally people have breadth, and then the products that they use in the projects, they develop depth in those products. For instance, that's our strategy. Every member that joins our team has a breadth of knowledge on the various products, but when they join certain project, the products that they are using in those projects, they master and they go into the depth of those products, right? So why companies hire engineers? Because of the breadth. You need to know how to develop warehouses for business intelligence. You must understand the modern data architecture studies like Delta architectures. You have your real-time streaming platforms like your Apache Kafka, your Azure IoT hubs, event analytics, and so on and so forth. You must know how you use ETL, using Databricks, using Synapse, and you must know how do you monitor the entire data platform stack. Automation, analytics, deployment, and data security again is a very crucial concern, because data security, without that, nobody will trust the data to be put on a public cloud. Deployment is very easy. You just need to fill a form and you get whatever you want. And analytics is what you focus on. So you'll have to master analytical programming in the form of Spark SQL, right? You'll need to know standard SQL and Spark SQL. Okay, and if you know that, typically you are ready to launch yourself in the domain of data analytics using Databricks. And everything is obviously automated, right? Why do we design pipelines? So that we could enjoy on beaches. We don't want to do everything um, in a manual way, right? We need to do it on the basis of the automation, right? Are Azure data engineers in demand? See, if you have developed skills, if you have the breadth of your knowledge, people will simply hire you. There is no doubt at all, not at all any doubt, right? But if you adopt the same strategy, I am a PL SQL expert, take me in. I am, I know this, I am a lake expert, take me in. They're not going to prefer, because there are so many people floating around in the industry who have a very vast breadth of knowledge on the platform stacks. And that's why Microsoft has switched from product based certifications to role based certifications. This Azure Data Engineer Associate certification is a role based certification rather than a product based certification. So it prepares you for a role in which you study various products in various vast breadth. Okay. Azure growth rate. Azure is one of the fastest growing cloud, the fast moving, fast growing cloud, right? Revenues are increasing. Some people are saying even that Microsoft has beaten the leader, which is AWS. I don't fall into such discussions, because I love all the cloud platforms. We are cloud enthusiasts rather than enthusiasts of a single platform. But yes, Azure is one of the most lovely, one of the most beautiful cloud platform that you may learn, and you should learn the data platform stack of the Azure public cloud. Data engineer job market, you can clearly observe it's growing in trend. You find so many data engineering roles floating around in the industry, that too highly skilled, highly paid, right? And the and, and the and the beauty is and the beauty is and the beauty is that if you are a data engineer, you will become a better data scientist. It's a truth, right? People might be sitting in this session who will appreciate what I'm trying to say. If you are a good data engineer, that makes a better data scientist, rather than a person who has just like a, which means out of exuberance, gets into data science, right? He listens to some kind of advertisements on the YouTube, looks at the kind of salary graphs of the data scientists, and says, hey, I want to become a data scientist, without realizing that first you need to study the science of data itself, which is the engineering base of data, and that will make you a better data scientist subsequently, rather than popping up with exuberance in the field of data science. You can see so many roles in United States, in the United Kingdom, in the India. You see beautiful roles are floating around. Demand of data engineers, median salary of 150K dollars, and that's a very handsome package, right? This is available for those who have pure breadth, nice understandings and practical skills. They have mastered various products and few popular products like Databricks, Synapse Analytics, Data Factory, and so on and so forth, right? So if you have all these products on your belt, then you typically can do that, right? So yeah, right. So basically, um, right. So that's the thing. You can see the salaries, highly paid, highly skilled jobs. This is not mundane jobs, right? These are highly skilled, highly paid jobs in US, UK,
Sir,
and India also.
we can quickly cover this part. These are just numbers. We are anyways a little low on time, and I want to make sure that we cover majority of the questions. So we can quickly cover these.
Right. So if questions or these slides.
I mean, I want to cover like a lot of people have asked questions as well, so I want to cover
Okay.
those as well. And we are anyways very less on time. Almost our entire time is over, so
Okay.
we can quickly cover these job postings and stuff.
Yeah, job postings here, you can see the great numbers are there, the highly skilled, highly paid jobs. You should focus on data engineering to be on the truer side. Here you can see again, so many roles are there available for interested people. Now I have these various domains of the data engineering. When you will study it, you will study data storage 40 to 45%, data processing, data security, and optimization layers. If you come to study DP203 in a greater detail, now I leave it to our Shivansh, and Shivansh will take it forward and explain you more details about the certification. Okay.
Yes, sir. Guys, again, thank you very much, sir, to this time. Just give me 1 second. I'll start sharing my screen as well. Just a second, guys. And again, if you guys have any questions, make sure that you put them down below. We'll be picking up the questions just now. And then again, before we start picking up your questions, I want you again, I see that not all of you guys have rated the session so far. Make sure that you rate us out of 5, 5 being the highest, and anything below than that, just mention the reason as well, so that we can improve in the further sessions that we are bringing you guys. So make sure, okay, just a second, make sure that you are rating us a 5. I think we all have gotten used to the technical glitches that we face, especially since the COVID times. Just a second, guys, bear with me a little bit, and we'll just start picking up the questions. Okay, let's see. So I see we've got a few 5 ratings, guys. Again, for the rest of the people, we have got plenty of people here, and I'm not seeing everybody rate yet. So make sure that you rate us out of 5, 5 being the highest, and anything below than that, please do mention the reason as well. So okay, sir, let me pick out a few questions before we start, and afterwards we can definitely you can pick up the questions in the back end as well. I'll just pick out the questions that are repeating quite a lot. Okay, so we have gotten a question in terms of the difference between Databricks as well as just a second. I'll let you the question. We've got a question regarding what's the difference between Data Factory, Databricks, and Azure Data Lakes. That's a question that's coming up quite a lot.
They are three different products. It's a very wonderful question. Data Factory is basically a data integration product, data integration, orchestration, and pipelining product. You see, any organization in the modern world have various departments. You have sales department, you have marketing department, you have IT department, and various departments use various kinds of services in which they keep their data. Sales department is using a Salesforce CRM system or a Dynamics 365 CRM system. Marketing department is not using anything, they are just using CSV files. IT department is using oracles and SQL servers. Now, when the data of the organization floats in various different services, as a data engineer, I have to centralize it, I have to integrate it, I have to bring it into a single source of truth. That's the core bread and butter, by the way, data integration. So when the data floats in multiple departments, in multiple different services, in multiple forms and shapes, it is the core job of a data engineer to transform and centralize it and integrate it. The service that we use for data integration, data pipelining, data movement is called as data factory. We use data factory for data integration. And now data integration is the soul of data. If you don't integrate the data, you don't have anything, right? You have islands, right? You basically have, what do you say, nothing. You integrate, then you get a single version of the truth, and you then work upon it. So data factory is a data integration software. Data lake is a data storage structure. Data lake, we keep the data inside the data lake, right? It is used for big data analytics. It's a storage layer. Why it is called as a lake, what is its significance, that gonna take a too much time for me to explain, right? It's called as a lake because it has multiple streams of data coming in and multiple streams of data going out, and it is not ready for consumption. It has to be processed before you can consume it. So when you have data storage, that's called as a lake. And to process that data, crunch it, that too for the advanced crunching, right? You need Databricks. Databricks is a service that has the horsepower to do advanced analytics, right? So if you have data, you need advanced analytical capability to crunch it, right? And that power will be given to you by Databricks, right? So these are the three products: factory for data integration, lake for storage, and bricks for advanced crunching. I hope that answers the question, right?
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So we've got another question, and again, this is also very repeated questions. Uh, is Are there any prerequisites to learning as or data engineering or as Databricks?
The prerequisite would be fundamental exposure to the data platform DP900, which K21 offers free of cost, I think, to our learners, right? When you enroll in DP203, you get DP900 access. And when you go through DP900, that is sufficient for you to be ready to take DP203. But you have to go through it, DP900. You have to find time to go through it, DP900. There are free courses available from Microsoft, official course for SQL. It is just a 2-hour course. So one day on Saturday, 1 hour on Saturday, 1 hour on Sunday, if you invest, you'd be able to complete those labs and quickly be ready with whatever knowledge you need in your brain for SQL. That's it. So little bit of SQL and DP900, you are ready to attend DP203. Absolutely, yes, no problems.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Guys, again, any questions that you guys have, please do put them down in the chat window, and we'll be picking them up. Sir, we've got another question. How is DevOps integrated with Azure Databricks?
Azure Databricks has the capabilities to add version control into it. If you look at any notebook on the top right hand side, we see an option to add the Git source control into it. And when we add a Git source control, you can add CI/CD also on top of it using either Azure DevOps services or your GitHub Actions workflows. So yes, the Databricks internally has version control into it, and because it has version control, seamlessly you can go ahead and integrate CI/CD pipelines also on your Databricks. All right. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Sorry, I was actually talking while I was on mute. Okay, let me have a look at the questions once again. Okay, majority of the questions have been answered, guys, and for the rest of the questions, sir will be answering them in the back end. And if there are any other questions that are coming up again and again, we will definitely be looking into it. There is one more question that I actually want to pick up, and these are like is a kind of a two-faced question. Sir, a lot of the people that we are looking at currently as well are trying into the get into the data engineering piece as a whole. They come from non-IT domain. So is coding a prerequisite to become a data engineer? Or if somebody knows the basics of coding, can they get into it?
See, data engineering does not have such a steep uh, upskilling path. Basically, if you want to start learning Databricks, there is no requirement to be an expert in any coding language. But SQL is required. SQL is like the ABCD of data, right? So if you know SQL, you'd be able to make sense of the code that we will be writing, and you'll be able to pick that code very easily without even having any background in a programming language. But yes, SQL would be required, and just 2 hours of course is available free of cost. Self-explanatory course, it's like just basics. You can go through that and you'd be able to take it. So as far as any kind of a sophisticated programming knowledge, no, you don't need it, but at least SQL you would need.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Guys, again, keep asking whatever questions you have. We will be picking them up. A lot of you guys have asked questions, and because of the time crunch, I'll ask sir to directly answer them in the in the chat window directly itself. So in the meantime, I'll cover a few other topics that would, like I mentioned before as well, data engineering as a whole is something that has a lot of different components in it, and you need to have a very effective learning path or the pathway to learning all of those things in a systematic manner, in the most efficient manner to cover everything. So just make sure you are paying attention now, because it's going to be very, very important for you. Just a second. Let me start. So first of all, you saw the certification exam as a whole right now as well. A lot of you guys might be asking, why certification is quite important, because throughout the session, sir also mentioned that whenever you're putting your resume out as well, the importance of the certification badge on it is very important, because a lot of companies judge you on the basis of whether you're certified, Microsoft certified or not. It has now become a very generalized industry standard. Like anybody who is applying for a data engineer job is is required in a way to have the certification on their resume, because certification as a whole is a testament to the skills that you are saying that you have. It's a proof of sorts. I like to consider that in the most simplest of terms. So first of all, the point is there are too many CVs out there. Like sir mentioned as well, there is a sudden, increase in the number of opportunities. That means there is also a certain increase in the number of people who are applying for jobs. How do you stand out? Certification is the way you stand out. I have a question for you, and I want you all to answer that question, irrespective of where you are watching, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, or go to webinar. I want you all to answer this question for me in the chat window. Out of the two CVs in front of you, which one would you pick if you were an hiring manager or if you were an HR as a whole? Who would you pick? The CV on the left or the CV on the right? I'm looking at the chat window. I want all of you guys to answer this question for me. Left or right? Which one would you pick? Okay, I see right, right, right again. Exactly. So everybody, each and every one of you guys are picking the right one. Why is that? You and I all know the answer. It's because the person has certification badges on it. As simple as that. Anybody who has the certification badges on it means that he's a Microsoft certified person in that particular skill. In your particular case, it would be Azure Data Engineering Associate Certification. So again, this is why the certification is so very well important. Now, the learning path would be we have created a 11 to 12 week learning path, and this is the most efficient way that you cover uh, you know all the different topics that are there. We start from the week number 1, where we cover explore compute and storage options for data engineering workloads. On week number 2, we cover run interacting queries using Azure Synapse Analytics Service, serverless SQL pools. And there is one more thing I want you to, note here very carefully. Almost every module that you're going to see that there is a lab associated with it. And from the very start, week number 1, the first thing we cover is introduction to Azure Synapse Analytics. From the very start, we're creating, or we're teaching you in such a way that you are going to be taught everything from the very scratch. That's going to really help you in learning all of this in the best way possible. On module number 3, we cover data exploration and transformation in Azure Databricks. Describe Azure Databricks as well. Like, again, look at it. You'll see that there are labs associated with almost every module. On week number 4, we cover explore, transform, and load data into data warehouse using Apache Spark. On week number 5, we cover ingest and load data into data warehouse. On week number 6, we cover transform data with Azure Data Factory or Azure Synapse pipelines. On week number 7, we cover orchestrate data movement and transformation in Azure Synapse pipelines. On week number 8, we cover end-to-end security with Azure Synapse Analytics. On week number 9, we cover support hybrid transactional analytical processing HTAP with Azure Synapse Link. On week number 10, we cover real-time stream processing with Stream Analytics. And in the last week, that's the 11th to 12th week, we cover create a stream processing module solution with Event Hub and Azure Databricks. So you're going to see that it's not like from the very start we're teaching you all these advanced tools. We'll give you a little bit of time to learn the basic tools first, and then we increase the level, so on forth. Because we know if you are attending all the classes, if you're covering everything, that means the labs you are if you're attempting the labs as well, then you'll have the skills to cover on to move on to the next topic. Now the very obvious question that comes, I believe everybody would be, of you would be asking, and some of you have already asked in the chat, now I'm looking at it, is that how do you learn all of this quickly? And I see somebody had put up, like, as to every certification person may not be genuine. Now again, there are odd apples everywhere. I'm not going to disagree with you on that particular part, but I'm pretty sure 99% of the people who are going to clear, 99.9% actually of the people who are going to clear the certifications are the people who would actually know stuff. They would know the technical part, they would know the theoretical part. That's only how they will clear the certification, because it's not a certification that is conducted by some third party. It is a certification that is conducted by Microsoft itself. It has very high standards, and it's also not just purely theoretical based or purely practical based. It's a mix of the two. So once you clear that certification, once you get that certification badge on your resume, that represents standards, that represent quality of the knowledge that you have. That means this person knows, not only knows the theoretical knowledge, but also knows the practical implementation of that particular technology or that tool itself. So always keep that in mind while you are attempting a certification or going for a certification itself. So yeah, moving on. The very obvious question that might be coming into your mind would be, how do you learn all of this quickly and efficiently? Because again, like you see the average salary packages, we don't want to delay that, right? We don't want to wait 1 month more, 2 months more to actually start earning that package. So how do you do that? The answer to that question is this: we have a training program called Microsoft Azure Data Engineering Certification DP203 training program. Again, it is taught by Aman itself, who was your trainer tonight as well. This training program have got 11 modules, the ones that you saw. There are 40 plus lessons, 11 hands-on labs, 150 plus exam questions. These are sample exam questions that are kind of based or near about what the kind of questions would be asking you in the DP203 certification exam itself. We also have CV preparation. That means we're going to help you with preparing your CV for any kind of job that you apply for. And we've got on-job support as well. That means once you are done with clearing a certification, once you are done getting your job, still we will be there to help you out throughout the 1 year of your journey left as to training or starting to work as a data engineer. So while you're working as well, if you are facing any issues for the next 1 year of you purchasing the course, you come back to us, ask our doubts that okay, this is something that I'm getting stuck at. The same expert trainer who taught you would be there to help you out with your doubts that you're facing while you're working in this industry as well. I honestly think that that's the most unique and one of the most unique things that you get being a part of a K21 Academy student. Now, again, these are hands-on labs. Aman sir, can you please cover these? I believe you'll be able to explain these better. Am I, sir? Can you hear me? I believe you might be facing some issues with his audio, but that's fine, guys. No worries. I'll just cover it. I just got a text. Okay, yeah, he's facing some issues with his internet. I believe we kind of got that point while we were in the session itself. So again, from the hands-on lab as well, we start from the very scratch by explore compute and storage options for data engineering. We raise the level from run interactive queries using serverless SQL pools and so on. And again, every module that you see has a dedicated hands-on lab associated with it that really helps you put whatever you have learned in the theoretical knowledge into actual practical implementation as well. So 11 modules, 11 different hands-on labs. And again, in the end, you create a stream processing solution with event hubs and Azure Databricks. Now, a lot of you might have this question that okay, there are hundreds of other trainings or tens of other trainings available out there. Why should you be picking K21 Academy as a whole? The answer to that is very simple. uh, so okay, I'm guys, again, any questions regarding the course, please put them down below. I see a few of you guys have asked. Just wait for a second. Let me just quickly finish this up. And then after that, I will make sure that all of the questions that you're asking regarding the course itself, I'm covering that before we end this webinar. So don't worry, please just have some patience and ask your questions. Again, any questions you have, I'll cover them one by one. So again, first of all, you get free on job support for 1 year that I already mentioned. Free unlimited retakes for 1 year. That means again, we have different batches for it. That batches, every batch has limited number of people in it. The number is 25 for data engineering course. In that, once the you have enrolled in a batch, you can enroll in any more batches for the entirety of 1 year. So, for example, you're in batch number 2 of 2022. So in the batch number 3 as well, if you want to enroll, you can do that as well. Batch number 4 as well. If so, again, we have live classes. So in case you miss a bunch of live classes and you want to join the next live classes, you can very well do that as well. Like I mentioned, we will be having weekly live interactive sessions. That means similar sessions to like this, but again, the number of people would be less. You can unmute yourself and directly talk to the trainer and ask your doubts immediately instead of putting in the chat window. So again, that is much more convenient. You have a better connection with the trainer because the number of people are less, and you have much more flexibility on that as well. Videos and activity guides to learn at your own pace. Not only you have the opportunity to learn online live, we also have the opportunity where you can learn through pre-recorded videos as well. The same is for hands-on labs as well. Every hands-on lab, you also get the opportunity to learn live, but you also have a dedicated hands-on lab activity video as well. Then we have WhatsApps and ticketing support system. We have two different ways we resolve your doubts. Number one is through WhatsApp. In that, the average time in which your doubt would be resolved is around 12 to 24 hours. And if it's a much more complex, much more difficult doubt, we put it in the ticketing support system, in which usually the solution to your problem time or resolution time is around 24 to 48 hours, again depending on how complex the doubt is. But with ticketing support system, you get a proper ticket that you can come back to us and hold us accountable if your question or if your doubt is not resolved, which is very rarely the case, but again, that is something that is there. Now, post-session recording for lifetime access. Every live class that you attend, you will have the recording, or even if you don't attend, if you're in the batch, you'll get the recording for every live class, and you'll have the access to those recordings for the entirety of the time. That means lifetime access. Again, hands-on labs with step-by-step activity guides. I already told you that. The entire certifications focus is towards getting your job and clearing the certification. Like I mentioned as well, this is not an actually afterthought. It shouldn't be like a stool with only two legs. If you miss one of these, you could fail at any time. So that means you need the theory, you need the practical, and you also need the exams or exam quiz. And you get all the three different things at K21 Academy with our data engineering course training program as a whole. So again, let me have a look at the questions if you guys have any questions, because I will be making them up at the end. So again, guys, if you guys have any questions regarding the course, regarding anything that you have seen so far, make sure you put them down below. If in any case we are not able to cover your questions, we will make sure that you get an email with the answers to your questions, or we'll put out a proper blog in which whatever questions you have asked, that would be answered as well. Again, we believe in results. That means majority, you can have a look at these screenshots. These are individuals just like you who enrolled in the Azure DP203 course, and these are the people who cleared the certifications. We got Jivanta here with us. He says, I just cleared my DP203 exam with 802 passing mark. Really appreciate and thank for K21 Academy. And we have S with us today. Hello, friends. I'm happy to share that. All that I passed my Azure Data Engineering DP203 exam. K21 academic sessions helped greatly to focus on key areas. Definitely practice questions gave me a lot of opportunities to seek info and keep a tab on various exam focus areas. We've got Akash here with us. He says, I've cleared my DP203 today. Thanks, K21 Academy. And Pikun says, I passed the DP203 exam. Thanks to all of you, Team K21 Academy, and special thanks to Manoj K21 for continued support and guidance. Again, guys, these are some of the many. There are many out there who are able to clear their certifications through K21. Again, many. Yesterday, I have completed my DP203 certification. Aparna is here. Again, same results. Sagar cleared my DP203 exam. Faizan, hello Atul and team. I cleared my DP203 today. Thanks team for a wonderful training and help. I would like to give a big thanks to Akshay for answering all my questions and queries. That's the moderator. That's technical moderator. Even we've got students who've got job opportunities as well. We've got Yash with us as well. I just received an offer to join a bank in LA as a data engineer. I attribute this to K21 for the kind of training they have imparted and the support. The resume support was also provided by Akshay, and I later made modifications. We got Vinay here as well. I cracked two companies interviews. Thanks for powerful coaching. Even though I attended lesser sessions since I joined middle, but those are so effective points. We've got Adnan here with us as well. I cracked Azure Data Engineer interview. Uh, Many thanks to Atul and respected instructors to help me succeed. We've got Dinesh here as well. I've got a job as a technical program manager on cloud. Just received an offer last week. So again, guys, the reason why to show you all of these is to actually, you know, uh, to to show you that it's very much possible. It's very much possible for you to clear the certification. It's very much possible for you to go out and actually, get a job after clearing the certification, getting the entire training, because that's what people have achieved in the past as well. So it's very much effective. It's very much true as well. What our students have to say, again, I've told you many times. I've just read one. Murali says, one fine day I wake up and saw advertisement in Facebook regarding AWS certification program. I joined the demo session, like you guys did. With inspiring words from him, I joined the program without any second thought. Today I need to thank him for that, as I've received an offer here in the UK. Mohammed says, I think the sessions are nicely balanced and explained well. Best is the instructors, if asked, repeat the topic again. Also, taking time for questions regularly is a hallmark. Initially, I was very hesitant to spend on K21 Academy and was not sure if it will be useful. But attending the Azure Fundamentals and DevOps Foundation, and now is at 400, has satisfied a lot of my investments. So again, guys, this was somebody who did not have any prior knowledge of development or programming, and now they're able to not only clear their own desired certification, but they have enrolled in other programs as well, so as to progress in their individual's career as well. Now, this is something I want you all to know. A lot of you guys were asking about our course. A lot of you guys were asking as to what is the next step. You learned a lot today, and I want you to learn a lot more as well. So again, this is another free class, absolutely free, and I want you all to attend this. Again, I you have trusted your time with me today, and I hope and I really hope that you got the worth of that time. I want you to trust me again with that time, and this is where I want you to trust it. Microsoft Azure Data Engineer Certification, DP203, and question and answers. the initial, this particular session was more focused on Databricks as a whole, but that particular session would be more focused on the DP203 certification and the job role in a much more detailed manner. We talk about what is the job role of a data engineer actually about. What are the things that they do in the company? Why is there, like, again, you got to know why there is so much demand. You also get to see much more in-depth numbers as well, and a lot more. Again, there is a proper demo there as well. We've got Azure Synapse Analytics components. So I see somebody was asking about Azure Synapse Analytics. You got your wish fulfilled in a way. You've got people who will be able to teach you over there as well. So again, guys, make sure. And again, it is very much, I hope that you guys trust us with your time again, and that you attend this particular session, because again, it will be very, very beneficial for you if you do this. uh, it will be, I think it will be taught by Aman itself, but I am not so sure. But make sure that you go and attend this. You also get a free gift. You'll get 25 sample exam questions absolutely for free. You just need to go and register for this. That is at k21academy.com/dp302. So while I'm at this particular slide, I'll just answer the few questions that we got on the later part. Okay, so we got a question from Lakshmi. Is it possible to teach via OCI tool? Okay, wait. I'm more interested to learn data engineering via OCI and Azure. Uh, okay, Lakshmi, first of all, my team would definitely connect with you after the session itself. Just make sure that you please put down your contact details in the chat window. Again, the chat window is only visible to us and my team, so no worries. Just mention your email ID as well as your phone number with the country code, the country that you're currently living in, so that we will be able to reach out. As for you, this particular entire course is with data engineering and Azure, but I'm sure we can work something out, or at least my team would discuss with you on lens on that. Otherwise, this particular course covers data engineering with Azure in the best possible manner, and in the best and the most efficient way, and that I can assure you for sure. So no worries on that. Okay, we got a question. How do we pay from Nigeria? Due to the banking policy, you cannot pay with bank cards online and through PayPal. No worries. Again, my team is here. Once the session is done, they will surely connect with you and resolve any issues that you have. In terms of payment, because again, when we talk about learning, I want to make sure that money is not something that's restricting us from just getting into that learning fees of yours. So again, Pratibha is there from my team. She'll definitely connect with you afterwards as well. Again, okay, let me see. Somebody's asking, will the sessions be on weekdays or weekends? Again, the live sessions for the classes would be on weekends. Again, that because again, I see a lot of you guys are currently working in your industries, and majority of our learners, when they come, they are working in their own particular companies as a whole. So it is logical for us to have these sessions on weekends, and the sessions are only on weekends, so your work doesn't get affected through that. So no worries on that. Guys, let me just put the link for this free class in the chat. But I'm trying to make sure that no question is left unanswered. So make sure that you are answering asking whatever questions you have. We are almost at the end of the session, and I don't want to leave without covering a question. So make sure that you answer all of the questions that you have in mind, that you ask your whatever questions you have in your mind. We've got, so now make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. The reason why I'm asking you this is this particular session was also broadcasted live on our YouTube, and we have got plenty of other free videos from the past sessions we did, the future sessions we are planning to do, the other individual videos as well. So we have got that on our YouTube as well. So make sure that you go and subscribe to our YouTube channel at K21 Academy. You can just search k21academy.com/YouTube, or just go on YouTube and search K21 Academy. You'll find our channel. Make sure you subscribe to it absolutely for free. Second is, make sure you join our Telegram community. We post tons of free stuff there as well, free blogs, classes, videos, a lot of other stuff, and you get to interact with with other people in the industry as a whole. They could be learners like you, they could be people who are working in the industry with some experience. or beginners, absolute college students as well. So who are just starting out. So you can connect with them better in terms of the struggles and the things that you need to progress in your career and that. So make sure that you go and join our Telegram community as well. It's very simple, k21academy.com/Azure community, absolutely for free. And currently we are at around 14,825 members. But I'm guessing that once this class is over, we'll reach 15K very easily. So make sure that you are taking the benefit of these free things, the opportunities that we are providing you, that really would help you soon, and progressing and moving on to the next part of your career. Because again, it's very important to do that. For the people who are interested in knowing more about the course, to enroll more of the enroll in the course as well, just drop down yes, or just anything like that. Somebody from my team, after once the session is done, they'll come back and they'll help you with whatever doubts you have, and make sure that they are cleared out and they are answered. And for the people who would decide or who have decided already to join the course, I thank you very much for doing that, for trusting us to be a part of this learning journey of yours, and all the very best. And from Shivansh and Thakur, I welcome you all to the K21 Academy family. Great to have you here. I look forward to interacting with you in the future, any kind of event or webinars that we organize. So again, thank you very much, guys, and make sure that you follow us on all our social media platforms, because we might be having another session on data, on a similar tool of Azure data engineering, and that would really help you as well. So make sure that you are covering this particular thing. We covered Databricks this time. We might be covering uh, Data Factory next time. So make sure you're following us and you are registering for the DP203s. This particular, wait, let me show you once more. Make sure you're registering for the free class of k21academy.com/dp20302. With that said, thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you guys again. Thank you very much.